Good morning. I just finished my devotional this morning and my workout, and so I'm just finishing a cup of coffee out in the patio. It's like my little personal studio that I like to shoot video in sometimes. I'm so excited to dive into this study made to Crave, and I wanted to kind of give you a little bit of my background, if that's okay. Basically, in my early 20s, I started developing very unhealthy habits with food, and I was bulimic for several years, and I really didn't understand the depth of the problem. I didn't think it was bad, and through counseling sessions, my counselor, kind of gave me the parameters of, what to look for and when to worry. And I told her the amount of times that I was purging per day, and she said, Alicia, this is a problem. And, I thought 4 times, 5 times didn't seem like that crazy, and I wasn't like emaciated or losing a ton of weight, so I didn't really understand, how it was a huge problem for me. But when she told me that it would probably affect my ability to have kids later on in life, that was a big wake-up call for me, and I needed to kind of get a grip on it. And so when I started working through that and through all of those emotions, God sort of led me to my church, my home church, and there was a study that was going on the book Made to Crave. And so I said, okay, well, I'll join the study. And it was a little weird for me because I just hadn't really thought about my relationship with food being congruent to my relationship with God. I didn't quite understand the connection, I guess. I just thought it was my problem and my issue, and it had nothing to do with God and my spirit life. And so that book kind of changed everything for me, and I laughed while I read it, I cried while I read it, and that was in 2012. And so lately, through my coaching career, I've been sharing a little bit more about my past with food and realized, holy Toledo, there's so many people that really could benefit from examining this relationship and really looking hard at themselves and realizing that they have some work to do and that God wants them to work on it. And so today I dove into day 1 of the Made to Crave study. You guys can just pull that up on your phone. There's an app called YouVersion, and the Made to Crave study is there. So you don't have to use the book, but I do recommend reading the book. And so today the study, the things I wrote down, day 1 study, it says, chocolate is my comfort and my deliverer. And I think for a lot of women, we can relate to that statement. And so Lisa kind of dives into this topic of us using food as a comfort, as a crutch, when we really should be turning and running to God. And I thought this thought was so beautiful, that God doesn't want you to stay in a place of defeat. He wants you to succeed. And I wrote this part down because I resonate with this so much. This is Lisa's words. She says, I knew I needed to make changes, not because of the number on the scale. I knew it because of the battle that raged in my heart. I craved, I desired, I thought about, and arranged my life around food. I totally get that. I remember a trip to Pennsylvania and with my husband, and he wasn't my husband at the time, but I remember literally just finishing a meal and then driving somewhere else, and I was already thinking about what the next meal was going to be. I was obsessed with it, and I realized, even though I had made leaps and bounds in that point, that it was still a big problem for me. And I think we all do this from time to time, especially if you have disordered, issues with food, that we just sit and think okay, so I just ate this, and now what am I going to eat next? I do this. I still do this. So I wanted to share a prayer with you that is straight out of the book, and this is a daily prayer that you guys can say. And it's from Lisa, and she says, God, I recognize I'm made for more than the vicious cycle of being ruled by food. I need to eat to live, not live to eat. So I keep asking you for your wisdom to know what to eat and your indwelling power to walk away from things that are not beneficial for me. So I want you guys to kind of meditate on that. We need food to live, but we shouldn't live to eat. Remember that shallow desires produce shallow efforts. So jump into this. Jump into the want to do this with a full heart. Today, take time each day when you're sitting and having a meal to mindfully think and thank God for what you have. But just be very mindful about where your head's at, what you're thinking as you're eating, how quickly you're eating. Try to savor every bite. Take steps in the right direction. And if you guys have prayer requests, that's something that I really want to start doing more of, is developing my prayer life. And so I have a list of names that I keep in my folder of people to pray for. So if you have prayer requests, just put them in the comments below. And I love everybody. And thank you guys so much for following. And I can't wait to dive into the study again on Thursday. Let's keep the discussion open. All right? Have a great day.